Hey guys, and welcome back to Fruits of the Spirits. This time, I'm answering the question, how do we prosper in troubling times? Times of trouble happen all the time in our lives, and I bet you face some kind of trouble in your own lifetime. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a guide for how to go through these troubling times? Perhaps the Bible could be a guide for this. Let's look at it. To better navigate through tough situations, we first have to understand why it's happening in the first place. The reason for this is that when we don't know why something's happening, the solution to the problem will be much harder to see, which can lead to chaos and even more problems. Come to think of it, it's exactly like what God said through Hosea in the first half of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. Read this with me. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. So then, people who have built a strong relationship with God will know what's going on, because they can quickly attribute the problem to a prophecy or something that was said early in the Bible. As it was said in Romans, the Bible was written for people in our time anyway, in Romans chapter 15 verse 4. Let's go through that one too. For whatsoever things are written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the Scriptures, might have hope. So then, people who don't have a base in the Bible and a relationship with God will have a hard time navigating through world challenges. But then, why do troubling times have to come in the first place? Well, the reason for that is renewal and refinement. Remember that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? It's basically like that. God said through Zechariah the prophet in Zechariah chapter 13 that after silver and gold are refined, they come out better. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people. And they shall say, the Lord is my God. The wilderness is a way that people went through this process in biblical times. For example, Jesus in Matthew chapter 4. He was in the wilderness for 40 days, and then after that, he was tempted by Satan. That was a hard trial. The Israelites were also tried and tested in the wilderness when they were going from Egypt to Canaan. 600,000 people, not even counting women, children, and the elderly, left Egypt in Exodus chapter 12 verse 37, and only 2 men made it to Canaan. See Numbers chapter 32 verses 11 to 13. The Israelites went from rust to gold during that trial process. Temptations also do the same thing. They help build our faith, which James directly told us in James 1 verses 2 to 3. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But take heart, God is a merciful God, and will not give us a temptation that we can't handle, as St. Paul told us in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13. If you ever need any motivation, go read that verse. So then, the big question is, how can we apply this in our own time? How can we prosper when there's crisis in the world? Well, based on someone's understanding of why the conflict is happening and where they're supposed to stand in that conflict, the third step is to live a life within the conflict, in which yourself will have peace. The wonderful psalmist said to us that they who follow God's law will always have peace, in Psalm chapter 119 verse 165, and Jesus Christ said the same in John chapter 14 verse 27, and Matthew chapter 11 verses 28 to 30. How about we look at what the psalmist had to say? Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. So, following that, we know that the Bible tells us that the last days would be perilous. For example, Paul did, and listed many examples in 2 Timothy chapter 3 verses 1 to 7, like people would be blaspheming against God, disobedient to authority, ruthless against their fellow man, etc. So if that's the issue, we'll then live differently. We'll be kind to others, pay more attention to God rather than personal ambitions. You'll choose a spouse that'll make our relationship with God run smoothly, etc. Those are things we can do to ensure that we have mental peace in our own life. But then, what about our physical safety? There are wars everywhere. Well, as you know, God will protect you and provide for you if you're righteous, We see this in Psalm 84 verse 11 and many other verses. But even if something were to happen to you and you end up dying, you'll still have an infinite amount of years later to live after you resurrect, as we see in Daniel chapter 12 verse 2 and Psalm chapter 37 verse 11. So even if we miss a few years, it's negligible compared to infinity. And that's about does it for the answer to how do we prosper in troubling times. If you learned something or just enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing, liking, and clicking the notification bell so you'll be notified of when I post again. Have a great day, and God bless you.